What can I say? I thought this would be better. Calvin Klein CK1 Summer 2020. Of course, you guys know the drill by now. Every summer, they release a new summer flanker to this line. Previously on the channel, I talked about this one, Calvin Klein Eternity Summer 2020. In that review, you found out that I like this fragrance. I think this one is really good, really nice. I do think that it does have a lot of uses, and it's one that I can personally see myself reaching for and featuring quite a bit on the channel. This is one I picked up first. It looked really good online, so I went ahead and got it, was pleasantly surprised, and it got me thinking, well, that must mean that the CK1 Summer 2020 edition must be pretty good too, right? That's kind of what I thought, and on paper, this does look pretty good. However, when I got it in, started messing around with it, testing it out, I realized that for me personally, it's not the best. So today we're going to jump into it. I'm going to tell you how this smells, how it performs, when you can wear it, and ultimately what I really don't like that much about it and what I think they could have done differently. And of course, this is always my opinion. You may get this fragrance and love it. You may get this fragrance and hate it. It just depends on your personal taste. Let's go ahead and jump into this. So let's start off with how this fragrance smells. When you first spray this one on, what you get right in the opening is this nice semi-sweet mandarin orange and some spicy ginger. With those two notes, you get just a little bit of an herbal sage note, which kind of gives it a little bit of a different touch. And you will notice that in Eternity Summer 2020, you get some sage in there as well. And generally, that's a pretty popular note among fragrances, so it's not necessarily a surprise, but I do like when fragrances utilize it. It kind of gives it a nice little bit of a twist. You will notice that one of the other main players you get when this fragrance first opens up is this salty aquatic smell, like the sea salt type of smell that's prominent in basically every other summer aquatic fragrance out there, right? It's definitely utilized a lot, and you will pick up on that in the opening of this fragrance. Mixing with the orange or the mandarin orange, it smells not too bad. I mean, it's a nice mixture. However, what I will notice and what kind of, I thought of and what my mind went to when I first tried this one is that it's not like an interesting mix. I do like when orange is used in fragrances, but the way it sits with this particular fragrance, I don't know, it didn't really captivate me. It didn't intrigue me. Whereas when I sprayed Eternity Summer 2020 for the first time, this was a fragrance that I sprayed it in the air and I was like, that smells really good. However, with CK Summer 2020, it just is boring. It kind of goes on more of the bland and generic side of things. And for me personally, why would I reach for that when I have something like this, or really just like anything else in my collection that I could reach for instead? This one dries down to a sandalwood and amber base, which is nothing out of the norm either. That's pretty typical of designer fragrances, sandalwood and amber. Pretty common base notes, and you will notice that in the dry down you still do pick up on some of that sea saltiness as well. So nothing that's really head turning or surprising here with this fragrance. Overall, the composition is pretty standard and really, in my opinion, leans way towards the safe and generic side. Now, one thing I will say is that this fragrance, CK1 Summer 2020, smells more like a summer fragrance than Eternity Summer 2020. This is one that's kind of a curveball because you look at the note breakdown and you smell it. It's not a straight up fresh aquatic. It's kind of more of a sweeter fragrance, and some people may say that it's not really much of a summer fragrance at all. You do get the coconut in here, which does give it that summery smell, but there's a lot of depth and a lot of sweetness. So it really can kind of go either way depending on what you look for in a summer fragrance. Whereas this one, CK Summer 2020, this one does have more of that typical freshy, a summer aquatic type of smell. So I guess that could be one potential positive to this fragrance. If you're looking for a summer fragrance that smells more like a summer fragrance, this one may have the upper hand. However, if you are looking for something that maybe pushes it a little bit, maybe rides the line a little bit, I think the Eternity Summer Flanker released this year, 2020, is going to be a better option. So when you try this one for the first time, I will say most of you probably aren't going to be all that impressed. Again, this is a fragrance that's going to be more for the general public, more for the average consumer who isn't looking for uniqueness or quality or anything like that. They're just looking for something that smells good. By no means does this not smell good, right? I'm not saying that it doesn't. It smells nice. It smells pleasant. I mean, it's a fragrance that when you spray it on, you know that you are going to smell pleasant. You're going to smell good. You're going to get positive feedback. But from a collector standpoint, from someone who is wanting to stand out or, just experience something different, this just really doesn't have it. I will notice that the quality of this one overall doesn't seem to be quite as on par with the Eternity fragrance. And, the pricing is going to be about the same for these on discounters once they fully get there, around the $20 mark. So it's not like there's really a difference in price. There's really not going to be. But I do notice, to me, this one just doesn't quite seem like as well put together as, Eternity Summer 2020, and really in general compared to some of the other cheaper fragrances out there. I kind of think that they kind of missed the mark on this one. So let's go and talk about performance. Longevity on my skin is going to be about 5 hours on average. So is it awful? No, it's not, but it definitely doesn't make up for the somewhat lackluster smell of this fragrance, in my opinion, of course. If it had better performance, maybe, it could have some more uses for some of you out there who are looking for, a really, really strong summer fragrance. But, unfortunately, like most Calvin Kleins anyways, this is kind of expected, doesn't have the best longevity here. In terms of projection, it doesn't do a whole lot on my skin. It's not a skin scent, but it's not a room-filling fragrance. So it's kind of the two extremes. You have one extreme filling up an entire room. You have the other extreme, a skin scent. It's either of those, which is, kind of a good thing here for the most part. It will leave somewhat of a trail. It will push out just out of your personal space a little bit. It'll get you noticed. It'll get you picked up on. But, it's not going to be anything that's like a beast mode fragrance by any means, and you really wouldn't expect that from Calvin Klein anyway. And in general, you don't really expect that from summer fragrances that much either. So when can I see this fragrance best worn? Honestly, this is going to be, for the most part, a summer casual scent, and that's really about it. I wouldn't dress it up. I wouldn't wear it on dates, just casual stuff, going out and about or whatever. Obviously, we're not doing any of that right now, but you get what I'm saying here. As a fragrance to kick it around the house and chill, this would do great for that as well. Really, it's kind of your general use cologne, I guess is one way to look at it. In terms of quality, I already mentioned this earlier, but really, not the best quality here with this one. And, I'm first to admit, when a cheaper fragrance smells of high quality to me, I'll tell you. And I told you that with the Eternity Summer 2020 release in that review. I mentioned that the quality overall smelled really nice. It has some depth, and it really kind of has some impact to it. This fragrance, for the most part, pretty flat, kind of synthetic smelling the way it comes across. And, a lot of cheap fragrances do have relatively good quality for the price. Unfortunately, this isn't one of them. Now, I don't believe this one is at discounters yet, but once it does get there, you're going to be at about $20 or so. So, I'm not trying to bash it too hard on quality. I mean, $20, as the saying goes, you get what you pay for, and you can't expect a niche level fragrance for $20. But there are fragrances out there for $20 and even less that, to me, come across as better quality than this one. So that's something you'll want to keep in mind there. So to kind of start to wrap this review up here, my final thoughts on CK1 Summer 2020. Yeah, not my favorite. I'm going to have to write this one off. Not going to be something that I'm personally going to be reaching for, and thus it's not going to be something that I'm going to be really talking about here on the channel going forward. So guys, that's going to do it for me. That was my review on CK1 Summer 2020. Said it a million times already. Name is, hard to keep up with. But hopefully you guys enjoy the review. Hopefully, this kind of helps you make a decision. Of course, always, don't take my review literally. Take it with a grain of salt, like you should with fragrances. If this interests you, if it looks good to you, give it a shot. Maybe you'll love it. But for me, I was disappointed, and thus I'm sharing my honest experience with you guys. So make sure you let me know down in the comments if you have tried this one, what you think of it. And also if you want to see any specific videos, whether it be top 10s, reviews, all that good stuff, let me know down below. I love hearing your guys' ideas, and I love making them come to life. Obviously, we're all stuck inside during this whole craziness going on in the world. So if I can entertain you guys and kind of make your days better where I can, I want to do that. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you tomorrow night with another one. Take care.